Hello everyone, this is John McCormick, and this is going to be my third video. And what I happened to find in the drawer the other day that caught my eye was this master lock. It is one my daughter had years ago when she was in school, and I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it's pink colored master lock. And lo and behold, this is how I found it in the drawer with no combination. So I set off, of course, looking at the YouTube channels and information on how to decode a master lock. And I know a lot of the my channel favorites have done master lock, combination locks. I believe Bobby Keys has, and Lock Noob, and some others. And I went to their videos and messed around with this lock for quite a while. And I have to say that I don't know if it was just my fumbling around and learning about tensioning this or not, but I was not successful for several hours the first night I was playing with it. So what I did was I looked some more on YouTube, and I happened to come across a collection of posts by this gentleman, BM Wright is the name. It's right there on the screen. BMENRIGH. And I looked at his, and I said, geez, there's a ton of information. I think he has 7 videos about doing this, showing the internals of the lock. It's really a good job that he did there. Anyway, I did that, and came up with... being an engineer, I came up with a thought of using a spreadsheet also. And so what I did was I used his information. I encourage you to go to his website. Wonderful information there, BM Wright, and look at what he has. But the first step in his lesson was determining the first digit and moving it counterclockwise. You need to find a bump in the lock with minimum tension. And I have to tell you, the key for me was, in doing this, it wasn't so much the minimum tension, it was making it not tension but position of the shackle. I mean, just pulling it up just the right amount, so and going many times around clockwise, and just gradually changing the position of that shackle up until I felt something. And lo and behold, I felt something, and where I felt it was at position 1 on this lock, right there. I don't know if you can tell it. I have to go clear around again. There. I can feel a little bump, only at that position. So anyway, I added 1. I entered the value of 1 here in my spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet, just per his rule, you add 5 to it, and that means that the first digit of this combination lock is a 6. Now the next step is to determine the last digit, and to do this you turn the lock clockwise here, and you document the gates starting at 0, turning clockwise. So what I did was I made a bunch of columns here called valleys, and I just said, what's the left side of the valley and the right side of the valley, and I just wrote them down. Actually, I punched them into this spreadsheet. What's the left side, what's the right side of the valley, and so forth. And then from all this, and that is going clockwise. I guess I actually went clockwise when I was doing the first step, and it's supposed to be counterclockwise doing the first one. So, but anyway, going clockwise, you pull up and you just find the first one. And a demonstration here is starting at 0, going clockwise. So I turn it clockwise and stop at 0, and then I apply tension, and then I document the gate. Left side is at 1, right side is at 2. And that's what I have in the spreadsheet here. Left side is at 1. Right side is at 2. That means the width is calculated, the little c means calculated there, at 1. And the offset, well, I'll talk about the offset in a second. The next one, the left side is at 4.2 of the valley. The right side is at 5.2. The width is 1 again. The offset, which means what is the difference between the left side of this valley and the left side of the previous valley, and the offset was 3.2. And I just did this for all the valleys, going around, and came up, entered the values there, came up with the offsets. The width of them were all 1, so the gates were all 1 wide. The offset, however, was 3.2 generally, and there's a couple of 3.6, but there was one particular one that was at 3.8. And I thought, well, that must be it. It's between 14.8 and 15.8, and my conclusion was the best guess is that 25 is, 15 is the true gate, because my biggest offset was between 14.8 and 15.8. The width was still 1, but it was offset from the previous gate by 3.8 instead of 3.2. So it was the offset of that valley that did it. Then I did the same thing with hills. I entered the numbers. I entered the values for the hills, meaning the tops of each gate, the metal between the gates, and I came up with the exact same thing. The offset on this particular one was 3.8. So that led me to the conclusion that 15 was probably the true gate. So to get the second digit, however, it is trial and error using the first and last predicted digits. So my first predicted digit was 6. My last predicted digit was 15. So what I had to do was use it and actually use the 6 and the 15 and go through it by trial and error. So if I went to 6, and pardon my hand shaking, and then I went past 6, and I went past 6, and then I went past 6, figuring, well, maybe that's it, just guessing at the second digit, and then using 15 as the final one, and then trying it. So this is seeing if 7 was it. So that wasn't it. So I'm going to go back to the second digit, which was 6, and I'm going to add 4 more. So I went to 10. And then I went back to the last digit, which was 15, and that was not it. Long story short, I kept doing that, going past the 6, and finally I got all the way out to 32. And then I went back to 15, and the lock opened. I couldn't believe it. You know that rush you get, or the feeling of satisfaction when you actually succeed at something. So by that second, finding that second one and using this method, I was able to find that the combination. Now there's rules. Rule number 1 is the first and the last digits always differ by a multiple of 4. So that would, even though I thought it was 15, if they differ by 4, that means it must be 14. Rule number 2 is the first and the second are always different by a multiple of 2 plus 4. So that means that it was 32, which I found by trial and error. So anyway, there's nothing magical to this spreadsheet. Basically, it's just documenting. You could do this with a piece of paper. Just write down, document the valleys, and then look for the difference between as they progress. You know, from 1 to 4.2 is 3.2. From 4.2 to 7.8 is a difference of 3.6. From 7.8 to 11 is 3.2. And just continue. And when I got to this one, it was 14.8 and the one prior to that was 11, so the difference was 3.8, and that's what zeroed me in on that as the true gate, which was the last digit, which was 15, which was right there. So anyway, I hope this helps. I got some satisfaction out of it, had some fun with it, and I appreciate all the people that posted the information on this, and especially, like I said, if you want volumes of information, go to this gentleman's website right here, BMRI, and I tell you what, you're going to find out more than you'd ever want to know about these master combination locks. So now I'm going to put a piece of paper on this one and put it back in the drawer where I found it, and I am good to go. Thanks for watching.